Welcome back to What Are You Saying, the realest podcast in the world. I'm Osama. Unfortunately, today Muhammad is not here, but he will be back soon. He's a little sick, under the weather. But besides the point, we love him and we miss him. But today we have an amazing guest, highly requested by everybody. She came on episode 156. Her name is Lama. Her episode now has been trending for the longest time. If you haven't watched it, please go listen to it. If you're in a relationship or you're looking to get into a relationship or even looking for a relationship coach, Lama is your person. Lama, welcome back for a second time to our podcast. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for having me back. I'm good and doing well, and I'm looking forward to this one too.
Alhamdulillah, likewise. So before we start, we always love to give our guests their flowers. So if there's anything you want to shout out, your accounts, where they can follow you, where they can find you, your coaching business.
Yeah, I mean, everything, if you want to find more about what I teach and everything, it's all on YouTube. So I have a YouTube channel. It's my full name, Lama Aboubakr 29 at YouTube. And then you can just find everything that I teach, from how to even navigate this process of getting married, because it can be really confusing if you don't have the actual guidance and what to do and how to think. If you're not in the right mindset, that can make everything so much heavier and confusing. So all of that is what I teach on my YouTube. And it's open to the public, alhamdulillah.
Guys, let's get Lema to 100,000 followers on YouTube. Go subscribe. I'm gonna put it on my story, inshallah.
Inshallah.
You just sparked a question in my head because you talked about how hard marriage is now. So of course, you have these apps, and now of course, in pairs has been popping off of, and I saw you were on one of their videos. So my question is, aside from social media, aside from the expectations, what other reasons are, because for example, people like myself, or anyone who is single, why are we finding it hard to get married? Is there aside from the external reason, financial, why do you feel it's so hard to get married now?
My question to you, actually, before I answer that, in your perspective, what do you think feels hard? What's the first thing that comes up when you think of marriage?
Honestly, that's actually a great question. I guess for me, conversations with my friends, I want to say the biggest thing is family. I feel like family, there's a lot of pressure from the community and the family. It's oh, you have to have this amount of money in your pocket, or you have to have this certain job or this certain degree. Or for example, I was having a conversation, just to add on to my point, with one of my friends, and they were asking me, well, if you were a master's student, would you want your girl to have the same education? I'm like, no. I'm like, it's not even in the top of my head. I'm like, she could be an entrepreneur, I wouldn't care. But I think the biggest thing, to answer your question in short form, I think is probably pressure from the family is why it makes it so hard, because, yeah, I would love to hear your
Exactly. But that's the thing, right? Because when there's pressure or expectations, you just you feel like you have to do it the right way. There's right, as in there's so many what do I do? I had to make sure everyone's pleased with the way I do it and everything, and the person I choose has to be this specific. I want people to see it in this kind of perspective, and people get so caught up in that and the pressure of it that it feels hard to be even attracted to have a normal human connection with someone, because of all these expectations. And especially for men, this expectation of having a certain level of financial stability and all of that. And it just feels like there's so much pressure, right? For men and for women as well, to be a certain way. And because of that, it just feels okay, well, no matter who I meet, it just feels like it's either not good enough. I'm not meeting the right kind of people, because all the the preconceived notions in our head. So what I found is people who experience a lot of pressure, or I think I should be married by now, I think this, when it comes down to actually talking to the person or putting yourself out there, there's just so much, you can't be yourself anymore. And so you can't connect. You're not showing up authentically anymore. You're showing up from a place of pressure, even if it's all subconscious. Even if you're consciously showing up yourself, subconsciously there's a lot of pressure. And when there's any sort of pressure from a man or a woman's side, especially a woman's side, she can't be herself. She can't just enjoy her just showing up. And when you're not being authentically yourself, it's harder to connect. And so that's one of the major issues of trying to get to know someone, or even complete exhaustion from trying and constantly being let down. That is also it contributes, your past experiences really makes you oh, here we go, I have to do this again. And it just feels like a whole job. It feels like a whole chore to get this thing done, when this is not meant to be. It's not meant to be a job. It's not meant to be a get married, and it's not. We're supposed to enjoy it, right? We're supposed to feel okay, I'm having someone I can live. I'm looking for someone I can have a beautiful addition to my life, not this pressure burden of responsibilities, and now I have to figure that out. And it's just, even the way we think about it and talk about it feels heavy. And so when we lighten all of that up and feel easier about it, the process feels so much easier. You want to you look forward to it. You get excited about I'm going to meet someone that I can have fun with and live a beautiful, amazing life with and grow together and all of that. And that kind of fades away when all the pressure, expectations, disappointment gets compiled or like, added on from all the past. So that's kind of when you ask the question, what makes it so hard? That's kind of the summary of it.
I have to agree with you because I feel like the expectation. This is funny because I always have conversations with my friends regarding expectations. I'm not gonna go into too depth because it's gonna call out a lot of people, and I don't want them coming from my neck. I remember one time I was just in short form. I was telling them I always believe in the quote that expectation leads to failure. So there's always expectations amongst brothers who say, "Oh, I want my wife to cook," or "I want." A girl will say, "I want my wife, like my husband, sorry, to be 6 feet or whatever." So I feel like these expectations generally do lead us to failure. And also to add on to it, I'll say it in a bit because I really want to hear your opinion about it. But before I get to that, I think these expectations do play a high role because, again, we have friends who can easily manipulate you. I'm not going to use the word influence because influence can help to the positive realm, but like there's a lot of people who would manipulate you. It's like, no, you need this person, or you need this person. This is not you. This is not you. And you mentioned something earlier regarding like sometimes you're not feeling authentic. And I feel like a lot of the times we're playing a character in order for someone else to love us or someone in order to accept us. Like sometimes you feel like, okay, I can make it work just by like taking one addition out. And then by you really being authentic. Is this really you? And the answer is no, because I feel like if you, for example, are someone who prays, but you're not consistent with your prayers, then don't go for someone who prays 5 times a day because it's not going to mix well. Go for someone who maybe prays 4 times a day while you pray 3, because they can help you get to you can work. You have to find your balance. And I guess my next question to you is there any truth behind us because we know so many people? So like every year you're meeting people. Of course, ourselves, you have our own platforms where. So do you like, and of course, seeing people that you might know within like the coaching business, people who are single. Do you feel like the more people you meet, the harder it is to find someone? Because I feel like you're meeting so many different people, and you're also growing. And I feel like sometimes we're still trying to figure out ourselves. Is there some truth to that, where it's harder to find someone because you know so many people now, versus in a smaller community, it's easy just to pick one. Versus now you have a bigger community. You're like, I don't know who to pick.
Yeah, okay. Let me answer this from a different perspective. What you want to do is reverse engineer what you're looking for. Okay? If we're just put in a supermarket and we're just like, figure it out, and there's no end goal of like, what am I picking? Like, why? Where am I supposed to go? Well, like all of that just feels so confusing and like, where do I even start? So what you want to do is reverse engineer it in terms of like, okay, what do I want in my life? What kind of lifestyle am I looking for? What are my goals? What are my dreams? And we work backwards from there. So if I'm someone who has let's say a big goal, I want to have this kind of company, this kind of vision, this kind of business, this kind of whatever career trajectory, and I want this kind of relationship. I would love if I had someone who, hypes me up and is supportive in this, and we, whatever that looks like. You have to be very specific on your end goal. And whatever that is, you want to work backwards in terms of what kind of values does that person need to have for you to be supported in that, and so that you can support them as well. Okay, so if going to the supermarket and I'm like, I want to make cheesecake, you're going to know very specifically, you're going to get the specific ingredients for that to make the cheesecake. Same thing for like what you're looking for in marriage. I want this kind of relationship. I want the kind of relationship where, let's say, they're very different dynamics. People search for different dynamics. Some people want like, okay, I just want to be a stay-at-home mom, and the guy just goes out and works. Some people are like, no, I'm going to have a very big career, and I want, both of us to be working and creating amazing wealth together and building an empire together. Whatever your thing is, you're going to look for that. So what I often teach is we're not going to hyper focus on what it looks like specifically. You're going to look at for values, character values. Everything else really does not matter. When I say character values, I mean like, okay, these are the ingredients of what makes a beautiful relationship. I want someone who's really supportive in what I do with my career, really empathetic, really understanding and loving and caring, okay? And the lifestyle logistics match in terms of like relocation, in terms of, all these other things. When that is in place, attraction builds in us on a much deeper level, and physically and everything else. Like obviously physical attraction has to be there too, like bare minimum. And all of that grows, okay? Yeah. All of that grows. But if we're like, well, what if I find someone better out there? That is always going to be true. So what do I mean by that? If you're focusing on, okay, I have to find the best looking girl, the best looking, the richest man, or whatever, when I say best, whatever your terms is coming up, There's always going to be someone more better looking, more smarter, more emotionally more intelligent than what you picked, always. So we can't make decisions based off of that. You have to make decisions based off of what matters to you in the relationship, and you choose the package based off of that. Because otherwise you're gonna be stuck in that supermarket for days, for years, just trying to like, okay, well, it's the best like combination of everything. It's too much, right? But marriage is not supposed to be like that. It's just supposed to be, you're on your journey, doing your thing, you're growing, you're expanding, and who do you want to walk with you as you walk with them? That's it. That's really all it is. And so you're just looking for someone that has the values that enhances your life goals instead of, brings it down and goes against your values.
I think that's a big no-no for me. Is someone who doesn't support my goals is a huge no-no.
Right.
Because
We all
I
want that. Yeah.
feel it's like I always have conversations with my friends, and I always say that they always ask me like, what's one quality that means a lot to you? And I'm like, listen, I'm a big dreamer, so supportive is a huge thing. 'Cause again, sometimes amongst family might not understand what you're doing, your friends might not understand, but the one person you hope they understand is your significant other. Because when the whole
Oh
world's
yeah.
going against you, you want them to be like by your side. And I always have this saying to my friends because of my loyalty. I said, listen, whether I agree or disagree with you, you can always see me by your side, just the other side, behind you, in front of you. I'll always be there to defend you. Whether I agree or disagree, you'll always have me there. That conversation can happen later, but I feel like this is partially why I feel a lot of people also have a harder time in a different situation. Maybe you probably would agree, and I guess I'd always love to hear your opinion on this. Is I feel people who start dating. Because I remember one time I had a conversation with this person on Clubhouse. Do you know Clubhouse, the app like back in COVID? So I
Good
was
times.
on
Yeah.
there, and this is how I was kind of promoting the podcast at the time. And one girl goes to me and says like, "No, I have to date someone to know how they are before I marry them." And I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me, because I'm like, how long do you have to date someone before you know whether there should be a couple things in your head based off of experiences, and I feel like I disagree with that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have to, if I can already see how you are based off, like, as a normal person, I don't have to be physically intimate with you. I don't have to be going out with you on dates or like putting you on my social media to show you that I'm that person. There should be small things that show you in the purpose of writing intention of taking the steps to marriage. I could be like, oh, you know what? No. And I feel like it makes it harder to date. Sorry, it makes it harder to get married because you started dating in your past. And I see it a lot amongst a lot of my friends because they've dated certain people that I've known because they dated. They're having a hard time actually knowing what the concept of love means.
Yeah. So let me add on to that. I like to redefine what dating means, and there's like the non-Muslim version of dating, which we don't do, which is like
Yes.
literally like pretty much live together, but like emotionally. But and in terms of what I teach, it's more about you're we can use the word dating, but getting to know each other with intention. Intention as
Intention,
in
exactly.
your only reason of talking to this person is to make a decision. You're gathering data, you're gathering information to see, is this the person I want to marry or not? We're not here to have fun. We're not here to just like haha laugh and do all that and flirt. We're just here to, okay, have fun with it, but that's not the purpose. The purpose is someone that aligns with what I'm looking for in marriage. And I've seen that kind of conversation go from 1 week to 3 months, and you don't need more than that, really, when you're very intentional with what you're doing and you're both on the same page. Because all you really need is data and information to make a decision. That's all you need. If I see someone going more than 6 months, I'm like, all right, what's going on? Like, one's like, we need to figure out what information, what hard conversations we need to have to actually decide yes or no. And that's all it takes. It's actually a very simple process when you are very aligned with what you're looking for. And once you're aligned and you feel clear on it, and there's no like fear or any of that, and it's very clear to make a decision when you talk to someone. Right. A lot of people, when like listen, where I work with them, immediately they know within the first week or two, right? Like, okay, either yes or no, and we move on. And same thing to get if they met their spouse, like the wife or the husband. I know many men that I coach and they got married, they knew within the first week, like, yep, this is it, and they move on. Because when you're clear on your decision and your values, then things go faster. But what I've noticed, people are not very clear, and they're like, I just have to date and figure things out. Like, there's nothing to figure out. You either ask yes or no.
I have a
Yeah.
question for you, like add on. So how does
Yeah.
you said clear your mind? So how does someone get to that? Because like for example, for the longest time, even till this day, me and my friends, myself included, we have this mindset we want to talk with someone for 3 to 6 months first. Again, because of things that we've went through,
Right.
right or wrong. But my question is, because you said a lot of your clients, which is impressive, then within 1 week they're like, this is the person I want to marry. So what's that first step they have to take to clear their mind to get to that
First,
point?
Yes, beautiful, beautiful question. So, first, you want to see your image of marriage. Do you have any fears, any future fears? So, what I mean by that is, do you have any fears of like, what if I pick the wrong person and I get stuck with them forever? Or what if I do it wrong? What if I pick the wrong thing? And your mind is mostly focused on fears instead of like more optimism. If your mind is mostly operating from fears, the way you show up in relationships is you're making decisions and judgments from fears instead of the clear like vision. What we want to do is make decisions from the vision. Okay, does that make sense? So if I'm like, going back to the supermarket analogy, right? I'm like, okay, I'm probably not going to make a really good meal. It's all probably going to be really messy and disgusting. And so I show up to the supermarket and I'm like, oh, this is not going to work. I don't know even. And then I'm just like lost and confused because I'm like, what ingredients? No matter what ingredients I pick, it's probably going to like get burnt anyway. Nothing's going to work. That's how people approach marriage, by the way. They're like so afraid of love actually it working out for them that they focus more on their fears. And so they make decisions out of fears. However, if we cleaned all of that up, what I mean by clear is like, okay, I know Allah has an amazing spouse written for me, and I'm going to trust that I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there. And I'm going to manage my fears. If any fears come up, I trust that I will handle it properly, and I trust that Allah will guide me through it. But I am open to doing this with the person that's open with me, that sees me for who I am, and that's what I want. I just want a person that I can vibe with, and that lets me be safe around them. I feel myself around them. I feel like safe being myself around them. So that's all I want. That's my vision. So you show up and you look for that.
Yeah.
And then it's very clear, right? If someone shows you any signs of like judgment or disrespect or anything like that, and they're not willing to like that's their character, you'll be like, this is not it. Goodbye. Out. Right? Very simple. What do you think about that?
No, everything you're saying, wallahi, is, I feel like I'm like at this session now. But I actually was gonna agree. I definitely do agree with you. I 100% do agree because I feel like I can't speak for the girls, I can speak for the guys. I feel a lot of us, because we have a harder time expressing how we really feel, it gets us harder to be in an actual relationship. Whether you dated, whether you take off like pornography or social media, all of that. I just feel that we're not being honest with ourselves, which I feel in results, and you start saying things in hopes that it's going to work out with this person because you're just trying to like rush it. And I feel over the years myself, like getting to know different sisters for the purpose of marriage, I've seen like I would always tell myself two things as I got serious. One is never attach my heart to anybody or to any job or to anything. Because I feel like we've all been there, whether it's crushes. And I'm not sure if we spoke about it last time, but I feel like when you attach your heart to someone, like, this is the only person I want, and then, for example, that person leaves, you go into this like deep depression because you're like, oh, this is the only person I want, which I feel like every guy goes through in his like teenager years, leading to his 20s. Even some people go through it in their 30s. And obviously you have girls who will do the same thing, that this is the only guy that I want because they're trying to be disobedient to their father, they're trying to be disobedient to their family, or this because they're trying to want whatever reason it is, or they think this is like Prince Charming. And I guess from my perspective is the other thing I told myself is, don't sell out your character when you're talking to someone. So for like, of course we all have past, and this is why I always tell people like when I and I haven't spoken to someone for the purpose of marriage in a while, but I will say for me the biggest thing was not attaching my heart to anything. Because I feel like then you're not making decisions purely based off of your instincts. You're just now making it based off of like your emotions. Oh, I love this person. Oh, she sent me a good morning text. I mean, she loves me. Oh, she's like sent me like hearts. And I feel like then in my opinion, my decision process starts getting like, what's the word I'm looking for? Misconstrued.
Foggy. Yeah, you just get attached. You just can't think clearly.
Yeah, and I've seen it amongst a lot of people because it's funny because I'm not for girls like maybe amongst you and your friends, like maybe when you see one of your like friends cry, it's like whatever. I guess for a guy it's different because when you see your boys crying, you're like oof. And like at this age, like it's like at this point you would get roasted when you were in high school, but now it's like you're trying to like comfort your brother and like let him know, hey, things will be okay. Yeah. But for me, I just believe that having Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like to your last point of like having tawakkul is really important. It's like saying, Ya Allah, I trust you with my affairs. And the hardest thing is like when it comes to relationships. Because I feel like jobs is whatever, like jobs, like people don't even care about it. But I think when it comes to relationships, you have to truly believe Allah will like find you someone that's right for you. But you also got to take the right intention to your earlier point when you're differentiating between the way Muslims date versus like the way, the dating that we disagree with. You have to make the intention, I'm trying to get to know this person, and you have to give yourself this timeline. For example, 1 month. If within 1 month you believe that there's no chemistry between you on the phone, there's no similar values, then you have to cut it off.
Yeah. And let me actually add on to that what you just mentioned, the attachment, detachment stuff. It is so, so important because let me explain what attachment actually means from like a very logical perspective. When your brain is attaching to someone, it's attaching to the feeling that they give you and the image that you have of them. Okay. So you're in your mind, you're like, this person, every time I interact with them, I feel like I'm good enough and I'm chosen and I'm worthy and I'm cared for. Whatever version that's coming up for you, that's the feeling you're attached to. It's not the actual person, it's the image of them, which is very good to know because if it's just an image and it's just the feeling we're looking for, because by the way, every time we're after something, it's only the feeling that we want. We want the feeling that comes with it. If I want ice cream, if I want to buy a car, if I want to get a job, it's because I think I'm going to have a feeling that comes with it. Worthiness, wealth, like whatever that is. So that feeling that I get with this person that I'm attached to, my brain thinks this is the only way to get it. And so it puts it on a pedestal. It puts it like it's all the way up here. Which, what does that mean? It becomes your new God, right? It becomes your new, like, this is the only thing that will fill my heart. And when we don't understand that, we think, okay, this is the only way to get it. We haven't accessed, many people have not learned how to access that feeling of being like worthy and wanted and chosen from God. They have never accessed it because of the trauma they've had with religious trauma, with their relationship with Allah. It's completely messed up. And so obviously you're more prone to be attached to people who give you that feeling. Because if you have, for example, growing up, you have a mother wound or a father wound where you feel like you're not good enough, you feel like no matter what you do, you're not chosen, you're not worthy. All of that comes from your experience, your past experience. And someone shows up and finally gives you that, the illusion of that, by the way. They say some words and all of a sudden you feel that. Obviously, you're going to attach to it. And you're going to think, this is it. This is the solution to my life that I've been missing. And what happens in order to detach, you have to ask yourself, what will happen if I marry them? What do I think I'll think differently of me? What's going to be different? Well, if I marry them, then I'll feel like I'm worthy. If I marry them, then I'll feel like I'm taken care of. Okay, is that true? Or is that just like the words that they've been saying? Like you have to kind of like really analyze that. And then if I don't get married, then what does that mean? Well, it means that I'm not good enough. It means this, it means that. Notice how much meaning we make about whether or not this person is in our lives or not. We put way too much power in that person's hands. Way too much. So we got to take it back by showing like ourselves, our soul. I am like worthy and chosen and loved, and I want a companion, not to fill in this void, but to like, their companionship is enjoyable, but it doesn't fill this like incomplete. Like I don't feel incomplete without them. That's kind of the difference between attached and not attached.
What was it, man? You just had a lot of things I want to touch on. My first thing, because I'm not sure if you would agree, but I feel like brothers have a harder time because women are so good with their emotions, just naturally, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but because in my opinion, women are so better with their emotions, the way they express it, the way they deal with it, whether they journal, they cry, whatever your coping method is, that's good for your body, not like drinking or like smoking and none of that. Because I feel like I remember one time, and I'm gonna share this. I remember one time, this is like back when I was 20, so it's like almost 9-10 years ago. Someone messages me. He's like, hey man, my girlfriend cheated on me. I'm going to the club. Come with me. I'm like, no, you should go home and like cry. What's going on here? And then, I guess my question is the process of detachment. Let's say, for example, like in this scenario, someone has attached their heart, either or a girl or a guy to a person, which is not theirs. Let's just consider it's a crush. Like attach their heart to this person. They're praying tahajjud. They're making dua every single day. I'm talking ultimate dua where,
The dua. Yep.
they're over the roof.
Yep. The ugly crying. Yep.
Exactly. And then, subhanAllah, they find out the other person is now talking to someone else. Now, in that state of mind, it's a state of shock. Because you probably think in your mind, Allah's not listening to you. You probably think that your du'as are going to waste. Also, now when you know it's true, and you're starting to wake up, now you have to start detaching your heart. But how hard is it when you're so deep into a year to actually start detaching your heart? What's the right process that men or women should take to detach themselves from this situation that we just explained? Or I explained.
Yeah, right. So first of all, when you're really attached to someone, you're putting them up here. When I say up here, you're like, they were the perfect thing that was missing in my life, and my life would have been better if I have them. So mentally, you're putting them up here. What you want to do is bring them back down to a human level. And what does that mean? It means, okay, literally take out the paper and write out in what way were they going with this, in what way does this not working out actually benefit me? And you want to come up with reasons of the things that you did not see. that you did not notice, because it is a fact 100%. 100% Allah only gives you what's good for you. So it is a fact that if it's not in your life, that means it was not good for you. Your brain's not on board with that. Your brain thinks, no, that was the missing piece to my life and Allah took it away from me. Like a little child who candy is being taken away, like snatched out. Like, no, that was good for me. Why did you take it away? You got to put on your big boy pants and actually, okay, what am I missing here? You have to really sit down with yourself and be like, okay, what was it? What was it? What did I see? What did I think she was good at? Okay, let me write the list of the pros. Okay, she was nice. She was cute. She was a baddie. She said nice things to me. Okay, all right, that's pretty much it. Like, literally factually, what did she do? Okay, now let's look at the cons. What could you be missing? What could you be missing? You know, let's say she I don't know, the reason it ended is because she left you or whatever. So on the cons is she doesn't see my value. She doesn't respect me. Or she doesn't, if she was my wife, she would like value me for who I am right now, not for me, not trying to change me. Something like that, right? You want to write a pros and cons. If you don't have any cons, it's just 0 cons and all pros, you're putting him up here. You're putting her up here. That's a problem. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean you won't naturally have a heartbreak. It's okay to feel heartbroken. But once, you have your self-pity party for a day, it's time to like wake up and be like, okay, what was it? What was it that I was so attached to? What was the feeling that this person gave me? Do I want to be someone that puts all of my well-being and power in one person's hands? Or do I want to take it back? So that it's a process, right? You gotta really want to sit down and be like, okay, this is what I liked about her, and this is what I was missing. This is what was not good for me. And you got to remind yourself, especially people who go through a breakup, I force them to sit down and be like, write down all the cons of why this didn't work. Because our brains tend to only focus on what was good about them and only like literally put them on like they were literally angels and they left me.
That's
It's like,
so
no,
true.
yeah, they're not.
So true.
Yeah,
You'll neglect all the negative stuff about that they did to you, and you're like, oh, but they did this. And then when you start calming down, you start coming back to reality.
right,
They made me feel like they made me feel like I'm an option.
right,
It's taking too long to text me.
right.
Which I feel is a huge. I always tell this to like people. I'm like, because I always said this. One person was talking to a girl. And he was like, yeah, she's taking too long to text me. I'm like, man, I think you should just cut it off. Because I'm like, if a girl really is genuine and wants to get to know you, she wouldn't even make you wait an hour,
That-
like
yeah,
max half an hour, if she's really, really busy. And I'm like, anybody who loves you will not make you wait to get that text message.
right.
And
And they wouldn't be playing games either.
no, but I think I also think this is why I guess I should say a third thing I told myself I disagree with a lot of people is when they post about their. I think maybe you would agree as well. I feel posting about your significant other does not show people that you love them anymore any less. Or even if you're getting to know someone in the initial beginning stages, I don't agree with hey girl, like, or hey man, I'm talking to this person. Don't say anything because you don't know in those initial stages something can go wrong. I feel like you need to take the time with no influence from the outside and make your actual decision. We have so many people in our lives who are really, really influential with their words, and we all know them. And you could like as soon as you say something, they could talk you out of it, because
Yeah.
they know you so well. So I feel like when you're getting to know this person, keep it to yourself. And also, I feel like you have to control your heart. If you do feel like in my opinion, as a guy, if I feel like as soon as I am getting physically attracted or like mentally and emotionally attracted to this girl, and we're both talking with the intention of marriage, hey, I know it's like a month in, I know we said 3 months, but I really like I'm getting feelings for you. I would like for our parents to meet. I want to take it to the next stage. And if she says no, then at this point you have to move on because you can't. It's almost like you can't have a positive and negative, or vice versa in the situation.
Yeah, and here's the thing also is something that I teach with men specifically. You're after, because it's very easy to fall. Catching feelings is so easy with the wrong person too. Catching feelings is not an indication whether this person is right or wrong. If you catch feelings, you're all up in your emotions. You're like, oh my God, this is the person for me. But you gotta take it back and be like, okay, what was the plan here? What is my vision? My vision is I need these are the values I'm looking for. Kind, respectful, this, that, this, or very specific. And when I say values, I'm talking specifically like what do you need in order for you to feel like this is important to me. This is very important to me. When you focus on that first in the beginning, that takes like 1 to 2 weeks to really see their values, to see like, okay, do they value Dean? Do they value this? Do they value like the specific things? Like how do they, when you express a problem or an emotion, how do they answer? Okay,
Okay.
that takes like 1 or 2 weeks, and then catch feelings later if you want. Who cares? But in the beginning, you got to be very clear to not make decisions out of like me liking them, like just liking them like that. And so people get caught up in that because they go into the whole like, if I like them, then that's good. But if you're, I believe any two people from the opposite gender, if they're put together and they're both decent, they'll fall in love. It's not a problem at all. Yeah.
Do you feel like we're liking people the long? Do you feel when it comes to like man or girl, boy and a girl meeting each other? Do you feel like we're liking each other the wrong way? Through your experience of being a coach,
Yeah.
talking to your clients, do you feel like we're asking the wrong questions? Do you feel like we're liking them the wrong way? Because like a lot of the time, I know you said earlier, physical attraction is important. Of course, it's important. Like we're not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not. I think it's like definitely up there. But I feel like, do you feel in your opinion from what you've seen with your experience that we're liking people the wrong way?
Yes. So
Or
when you're, so, go ahead.
or are we? Is it like, or are we actually continue? I'll ask the second part
Yeah.
after.
I was just going to say there's two ways you can go about this process. You can see things from what does this person like bring to my ego? What does this satisfy with my ego? Or what does this satisfy with my vision? So there's two ways, right? Like if I'm going into like relationships, like I just want to feel good. I just want to feel good about myself. I just want someone to tell me that I'm nice and pretty and this and so when a guy shows up and he says those things and he says, "Oh, you're so pretty." Like, "Okay, I like him." And then you fall in love because he said the thing that you wanted him to say. Is that a valid reason for marriage? Not really, because that's not very sustainable. It's not a sustainable reason to keep going. It'll make you catch feelings because you're like, I've just wanted someone to like choose me and like me. Sure, you'll get that, but it's not very sustainable. However, a reason that's sustainable is like, is this someone I can build a partnership with? Growth, values that are very grounded, growth, Dean, like character reasons, right? So, okay, this just because this person's kind to me doesn't mean he's marriage material. Kindness is not like that's like one thing, but what is the true reason? Okay, I like the way that when we talk through things and we have problems together, we're able to, come back from it and we're able to bounce back and we have a mission, we have a goal. We're both on the same page. It's more like value based more than ego driven. Does that make sense? Like ego driven is more about like what does this person make me feel versus value based is more like what are we doing together as a partnership as a team? Where are we going? And so that's kind of the difference. When you're the glasses you put on as you're navigating relationships, if you have those reasons of like your why of to get married is I just want someone to make me feel good, it's not sustainable. So that's what I mean by marriage. Like and white people or non-Muslims, sorry, white people's not the right word. Non-Muslims, that's how they kind the non-intentional ones, they kind of just like he he's cute, I like him, we they live together and obviously they don't get married because they break off every after 2-3 years. That's not for no reason. They're just it's just more baseless. It's more like I liked how he makes me feel. You got to do more than that. It's deeper than that. And I have a whole series on this. It's called Decoding the Marriage Process on my YouTube channel. I explain from A to Z like how to be in the mindset that makes you see things from the correct perspective, like a more sustainable perspective.
How can you tell whether you're talking to someone through a networking event, sister or brother, or just even in your coaching? How can you tell they're ready for marriage? So whether someone's going into marriage or someone is having problems, how can you tell immediately, okay, this person's ready for marriage?
Yeah, that's a great question. I immediately look for how desperate they need it. Okay, the first question I ask is, okay, like if you don't get married within the next 5-10 years, how will you feel? Two answers I get, two types of answers. One answer is like that will be not okay. Like I need it now. What does that give me? What does that tell me? That's telling me that they're trying to fill a void now from their ego. Like I need it now. It's not okay. Or the other answer is I'm okay with whatever Allah gives me. Alhamdulillah, whatever. Like I know Allah's protecting me, but I'll be okay. It'll be nice if I had it sooner, but I'll be okay. That level of like maturity of like it's okay if I don't get it now. I'm okay. Determines how the marriage will actually go because you need that kind of level of maturity. You can't just be like I need it now, and if I don't get it now, so it says more about the reason for marriage is like I need it now so I can feel better about myself. That's not a good reason. Versus like I want a companion and I would love if I can get it sooner, but if Allah wants it later in 10 years, 15 years, I'm okay. It'll make me sad. It's okay that I'm sad about it, but it's a more mature response. So that is one of the biggest indicators. It's the first question I ask when someone's trying to work with me one-on-one. I can tell when someone's like ready for like yep, yeah, because someone who's in the more mature response, I can get them results much quicker. They're ready for marriage. And the first one, I'm like, you're not ready for that yet. So you got to like get yourself to a more grounded level, and then you'll be ready for marriage.
I think a lot of brothers, in my opinion, I remember one time someone was 20, just to add on to your point, because I feel like it was so interesting what you said, and I'm glad we're having this conversation. Because I remember someone goes up to me, he's like, yeah, man, the reason I want to get married is because I want to not commit haram. I'm like, I hope you know you can commit haram while you're married. That's a dumb like example. He's like, no, man, I won't. I'm like, I know people personally who have done it. While relationships or marriage. So I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. This should not be an initial reason that you want to commit haram. That should be the ultimate goal in any situation. And I feel like, and I remember I told him, how old are you? He was like, I'm 19. I'm like, dude, you're in school, right? I'm like, stick in school. I'm like, by the time you're 29, you're gonna have a whole different mindset. And then my friend at the time was saying, no, get married, get married. I'm like, no. I'm like, don't tell him to get married just because you're married. It's just like, what works for you is not gonna work for him. Clearly, he's in the wrong mindset. And in my opinion, I got. He's like, why are you getting upset? He's like. At the time, I was 26. I'm like, I'm not mad at it because I'm not married now. I'm like, I still had a lot to at the time. If I would pray a girl did not accept me because I feel like I was such in the wrong mindset. Because in my head, I was still where I still would choose my career over. I always famously said, I gotta be successful before I get married, which I feel was the wrong mindset because you could do both at the same time. But I feel like I was so career driven, I was so success driven. That's subhanAllah. And I feel like marriage at that point, yeah, I wanted it, but it was to your point earlier. It was like more of like just someone to make me feel good versus that companionship, which I obviously would want now. And yeah, and then he left and he thought about it and he just kind of looked at me weird based on my answer because he thought I was going to support him with his decision. I'm like, you're 19 years old. I'm like, respectfully, had you said something different, I would have agreed, but you said you don't want to commit haram. And I'm like, this is how I know you're not ready for marriage.
Yeah. Like, what are we gonna do after you're done with like what, we just throw her away? Like, how does this work?
Exactly.
Like, that's the terrible reason, you know. So
I think that's also maybe to your opinion as well. A lot of men, a lot of guys, they think that marriage is they treat it maybe as if in the beginning, like, go looking into this as a dating. Oh, I could finally like talk to someone, and then like they prolong it. Like you even said to yourself, like you even said earlier on the episode, it should really be like a month, 3 months, maybe like maximum month if you really have that true intention. Again, some people are fearful, some people are scared, and those as long as you're like praying tahajjud, you're praying istikhara, which I feel is really important as well. Hopefully your fears can like of course it's you should be scared. You're talking to someone who is, in my opinion, I think you should be scared because it's not a joke. You're talking to someone's, I've always said, you're talking to someone's daughter, talking to someone's sister, you're talking to someone's like niece or whatever the term is that who she's related to. And I feel like it's really important that if she's treated like a queen at home, that you take her as the queen in your house. And I feel like a lot of men, when they see these social media, like you have those Andrew Tate or you have these people who are disrespecting women online for like good women online, and I look at it as like it's not. Don't be doing that because I feel like they get so much, like become like so alpha. Like I'm the alpha male. I'm the boss of this house.
oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yeah. So
They're coming from a father wound. You know that? They're coming from a big father wound of like, I gotta make up for the masculinity, so I have to be this macho thing and put women down. Either coming from a father wound or a mother wound where it's like they didn't have that healthy love growing up, and so it feels so much more better to just put women down in that perspective. But like until they heal that, that's when they'll actually be able to receive love and feel the love that they're looking for.
That is so true. But is there a correlation? Because you're talking about wounds. Do you feel there's a correlation between for other or men or women who are like not married, that because they didn't get love as a child, that they find it way harder now to like go find true love? Because again, in the Quran it says mawadda wa rahma, and I'm not sure if you would agree. I've also agree that love happens after marriage because I feel like there's no pinpoint date where you're like, oh, I love this person. But do you feel like they have people who have had more trauma as a kid because they never got love from their parents, that they find it harder now to go find that love elsewhere?
Yeah, there's truth to that. And I want to add, I feel like all of us mostly didn't get the exact love that we wanted as children. So that's not really a problem, right? All of us, we had that problem. It's whatever, okay? But let's look at right now. What is the difference between someone who struggles with marriage and someone who doesn't? It's a simple shift, okay? The shift is, I'm going to get married. I deserve love even if I'm a really messed up person. It's okay. With my mistakes, with my flaws, I'm going to get married. So they have that conviction that they're deserving of love and that it's okay to be married. With people who really struggle with marriage or getting married, they have this feeling of like, I'm not perfect enough or I'm not good enough for love. I'm not good enough to be loved. And so they kind of sabotage it. They look for ways for it not to happen. They focus on what's not going to happen for them. And they're more on the hopeless side. And that's what people struggle with. The ones who don't get married, the ones who struggle with it, are the ones who literally believe as an identity of I'm someone that can't, I struggle with relationships. I can't be loved because I'm not, good enough. That's the main difference. So even if all of us, the ones who I find who, are easier to access the feeling of like, I can be married, I can be loved. Yes, they might have had a healthier, past, healthier relationship with their parents, whatever. However, that doesn't stop you from, achieving that now, which is just that shift. Right now, as adults, we can just be like, okay, what's the shift that makes me someone who is able to get married? And we do that. So that's really the main difference. People who don't struggle with marriage, they don't see it as this big struggle. They're just like, it's just another thing to get. It's just like, it's so easy to get married. Like, why not? But people who do struggle, they see it as this impossible goal. Like, it's really hard to get.
So again, because I know you're married, so how should someone's viewpoint be about marriage? Should it be a struggle? Should it be something excited to reach, or should it like how should it be?
Yeah. It's conflicting, right? Because there's everyone's saying like different things. Like marriage is such a struggle. Don't
Yeah.
don't do it until you're ready.
Because
And then
people
there's
say
other
either like, oh, don't get married, buddy, or like I'm like, what's going
yeah.
on? I want to get married. What's going on here?
Right. Yeah. Just like with every goal that's worth doing, there's always struggles to it, but it's not a struggle that's like worth like it's not suffering. Okay? There's no suffering. There shouldn't be any suffering. It's more of struggle as in when you start working out and you start, picking up those weights. It's hard, right? It's a struggle. But you're adjusting, you're learning, you're learning and training how to adjust to this new environment. That's what technically the struggle that I'm referring to. It's hard to kind of, you're talking to a whole nother person with a whole different personality, whole different upbringing, and you're learning how to navigate that. Like that's a struggle. That's not easy. And as long as you're willing to grow and to like work it out together and take responsibility for your flaws and it'll be an amazing experience because you learn how to open up to someone. You learn how to show the ugly side of you to someone and potentially getting rejected, but seeing that they actually accept you for it. That in itself is healing. And that's the beauty of that relationship, right? That's the beauty of relationships is learning how to like be vulnerable and not needing to be a certain way in order to be loved. But that starts with like, okay, so what's the perspective of marriage? It's just two people learning how to love each other's imperfections. Not even love, accept each other's imperfections.
I love how you said that, loving
Yeah.
imperfections. Because I feel like a lot of the time we're always trying to find the perfect person, but every person that we meet, the person you do meet, they're gonna have imperfections to them. You gotta start learning to love
Oh yeah.
them. And I want to ask you about meeting people. So of course you have like the date that those Muslim dating apps, and now in pairs is obviously a thing. And shout out to I think his name was Zachary. So shout out to him for allowing brothers and sisters to meet the proper way. Now my question is for you, because they're approaching these apps, how should you have those people who they're trying to have matches, and then it's a struggle for a guy because if you're average looking, you're probably getting 1 or 2, 3 matches, and then if you're obviously in the either or if you're good looking, you have 1,000 matches. Do you think there's a fine line between having those Muslim dating apps and using them properly? Because I feel like there's this people just go on there to maybe get this satisfaction. Oh, I'm still being loved, and then there's people who actually want to get married and are getting frustrated that no one's talking to them. So how should someone approach these dating apps or even in pairs as well?
Yeah. So for the person looking to get married, your only job is to have the intention. Like I just want to find one person that I vibe with. I don't care how many matches I get or don't get. There's one person out there that I'm looking for. We don't need a bunch of people. You don't need 50 matches. You don't need two matches even. You just need one match. And every time, let's say you don't get a match, you don't get what you're looking for, it's like, okay, it's not my season this month. This is not the like whatever, right? Or what if you're scrolling on the apps or whatever, you're just see, okay, I'm not finding what I'm looking for right now. And it doesn't mean I'm never going to find it. Doesn't mean there's no one left. It's more of like, this is not my season right now. This is not my day. It's okay. And because you cannot be in the mindset of like scarcity of like there's not enough and I need to have this certain so I can believe that I'm wanted and I'm desired. That kind of mindset will actually make you spiral in shame. Like it's so like it just gets in your head. All you need is I just need one girl that I like and it'll work out. And inshallah Allah has it written for me. Whether it's this month, the next month, and the next year, whatever it is, I'm gonna keep. You have to have that like strength of like not letting what you see shake you. Because if you let the amount of matches you get like determine your worth, then you're gonna start operating on that. Well, look, I didn't get any matches this month. That means no one wants me. And then people I see notice people give up. I notice people just like feel so down about themselves and they think that determines their worth. It's like, why would you let someone that doesn't want you determine your worth? It makes no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. You want someone that wants you. So that's if they haven't shown up, that doesn't mean anything. It just means they're not there yet.
Now, I agree with you, but to play devil's advocate, because I know someone's probably going to have this question, or they're
Yeah,
probably
please
thinking
do.
this.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about why would you want someone who doesn't want you, which I totally agree with, because I feel like the brain we always end up, like, I think naturally people always end up talking to people who, like, this person, because you think they want you, but in reality, they're just probably using you. How you can tell someone to stop? Like if you're that friend, if you see your friend, like, if you see that friend, the same example you gave, you see your friend going through that, right? And you realize they keep going back to that person, they keep going back to that person, they're not listening. Is there that, like, purpose where you stop as a friend, you're like, they gotta, like, learn the hard way, because I've given them all this advice, and they're not listening to me?
Yeah. Some people just need to really experience pain multiple times. They need to be slapped in the face multiple times in life, like by life experiences for them to really get it. And unfortunately, like no matter how much they know what's the right thing, but they don't really get it because they're chasing a certain feeling that they're not learning the lesson just yet. Okay, so when someone's chasing a person that doesn't even want them, there's this feeling, it's this familiar feeling of like, let's say they have this identity that I'm not someone like the ones I like don't like me back. Okay, let's say that's what they believe. They're going to stay in that identity for as long as until they snap out of it. And that for them requires a certain level of pain to actually snap out of it. For some people, they're smart enough to snap out of it sooner. But for some people, there's always a pattern they're chasing. They chase what's familiar, what feels good. So I'm just throwing an example out there. But let's say you were someone who didn't really receive the love that you wanted from your dad or from your mom, and there's this woman that shows up and she barely gives you attention, and you're like, I just want her to like me, like the feeling that you wanted as a child. I just wanted my mom to love me, right? So you'll get that from her. You'll try to be like, okay, she barely gives me attention. This feels good because this is what's familiar. So let me try to convince her that I'm lovable. Let me try to convince her that I'm likable. Let me try to convince her that I'm worth talking to. And it's just this obsession, it's addiction, because it's coming from the ego. Remember the thing I talked about, ego versus values. So that's what happens. You get stuck in the same pattern, and until you learn, you'll snap out of it. But again, you can't you can't save people from their own suffering. They have to choose it.
No, you can't, and I've seen it. I've seen it so much amongst, like, the people, like, not even like Muslims in general, but even non-Muslims, who I've seen it so much in the point where even like relationships, we also have like friendships where people are trying to make things work, and of course it doesn't work. Because in the way I look at it regarding Muhammad, who I do a talk show with, Mo, for everybody else who knows him as Mo. But one time we were talking, and we both agreed, is like, why are we going to be talking to someone who makes us feel like we're an option? Like, I believe that if you're talking to someone, there isn't A, B, C, or D. It's only A. I'm the only option. Because I feel like if there's other people she's comparing herself to, because again, as people, we compare. Like, for example, like, even naturally, sometimes you could be like, sometimes to your subconsciously, you could be like, that person's like, not even in terms of relationships, but even in terms of friendships, in terms of a micro scale. Sometimes you'll find people comparing. Oh, my friend does this, and this person, and I've known this person for so long, but this person who I've known for a shorter time does this. Now, imagine in relationships, you don't want that person to compare you to some other guy, or to some other girl, because then it's like, imagine if you're married and you don't do the things that person was doing when they were talking in this talking stage. It may not end up well. It may not end well for you. And that's why I guess I feel like a lot of us people have love misconstrued. I don't think a lot of us actually understand what love actually is. I feel like we love the feeling of butterflies, our heart starts beating, or like our hands get clammy. We start sweating. We start like stuttering. We start wanting to be funny. A lot of guys like to be funny with a bit of flirtatiousness because they see an attractive girl, and we're extra funny too. Like, and then your friends are looking at you like, you're not like this at home. What's going on here?
The extra funniness comes out, yeah.
The extra funniness comes out, and I feel like even as a girl, as a guy, I guess my advice: don't rush it. I feel like a lot of the times, and I'd love to hear your opinion about this, is we meet someone, then we rush it. And I feel like you could take just religion aside. You gotta take your time to actually ask the right questions. I don't care if you've been in a relationship or you haven't, but at this point, if your intention is marriage, you need to start asking the right questions. You need to start asking, like, I clearly have loved wrong because talking to someone or dating someone for 3 years doesn't mean you love them. Like it's probably people in your life who you've known for years and you stop speaking to. It's not about hate or love. It's just that go back to your value and like an ego. Look at the value of what you can offer me and what I can offer you, not because you're gonna make me feel a certain type of way. Because there's probably gonna be moments, and I'm not married, but seeing married people in my life, there's probably gonna be moments where you're both at each other's neck. And you don't want anything to do with each other, and that's a matter of life. But I wanted to say that to add on to your point.
Yeah, it's a good point.
And my next question for you is: I know off camera we're talking about pornography and the social media, and the reason why I asked about the whole dating apps, which is gonna lead to that. A lot of brothers and sisters have it passed, whether it's dating, addiction to pornography, so like they compare themselves to different people. But I feel like pornography is that one thing where even some married people still have an issue with it. The addiction to pornography is clearly making relationships worse or making it harder for you to get married because you're putting this image in your head that is false, right? So I'm not sure if you've dealt with clients or you've seen stuff that you're able to talk about, but why is it so dangerous when you see things on social media or even pornography itself?
Yeah, subhanallah, it's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. Maybe pornography, but also even as Instagram, what we see on Instagram. Even what I've noticed is like people have starting to get really specific of how they want their spouse to look, how they want them to act. And I can tell when they're describing the person, they're like very like, again, like build a wife workshop, right? Like very like, okay, this is how I want her to be. I want her to have like specifically these kind of eyes. I want her to have, brunette hair. And they literally don't find anything else attractive. Nothing else attractive. Because it's an image that's sketched in their head of like, this is what I keep seeing on my feed, right? And I dig into it a little bit more, and it's like, what happens, by the way, is when someone is very specific with how they want their person to be, it is a protection mechanism to prevent them from actually connecting on a human level, because it protects them from potentially being rejected for who they are, potentially not being loved enough, potentially all this. So what does the brain do? It creates this really impossible list of someone that they find attractive, and they're never gonna meet them, obviously. So they never get the love they want ever. So they keep in the cycle of porn, whatever, to keep them going. But it's just a constant, like, they never connect with an actual human being because of it. And that's like, the shaitanic way of preventing you from actually connecting and getting married. And so the more specific you are in your requirements of how the other person should be, it's actually a protective mechanism. And so for anyone listening to this, if you have certain like expectations, like they have to be this way, they have to have this kind of degree with this kind of money, with this kind of this, and nothing else matters, I would really look into it. Okay, so if he didn't have that, but he was open to liking you, or if it's a girl, right? Would you be okay with it? No, I won't be okay with it. Okay, why wouldn't you be okay with it? Because what will people think? Right? You gotta get really specific on your reason of what you are looking for and why. What does the why get back to? If the why goes back to what will these two aunties think of me, then that's a problem. That's a problem. You gotta check with yourself. Or, if I do this, if I pick someone less than that, that means I'm settling. That means I'm not getting exactly what I want, which means what? Which means I'm not worthy enough. So that goes back to the ego. Everything is so particular. The way your brain works, subhanAllah, tells exactly what your fears are. So if I need it to be a certain way, why? And if it comes from an intentional value, right? Like I want my husband to be, let's say I want my husband to be fit. Okay, why? 2 reasons. I want him to be fit so other people can be like, wow. Or I want him to be fit because I want him to value health and wellness, so that we both value health and wellness. 2 different reasons. One's based off of value, one based off of ego. You got to ask yourself where you're coming from. And so going back to your question, pornography, all these expectations has created this idea, this image of what marriage is supposed to be. And people are rejecting normal relationship problems as like, oh, this is not it. It has to be like this. It has to be like that. It has to be like this. And obviously we're never going to connect if that's the expectation.
So we spoke about expectations a lot. And I believe expectations, even you said, like, a lot of girls will say, oh, I want the thing that irritates my soul. Like, I want it to be 6 feet.
It irritates my soul.
You're 5 feet. I am 6 feet too. And then you have, just got to put a small joke out there. And then if you're a guy, then you obviously talk about a girl's body parts, whatever it might be, or her hair, or her eyes, whatever it is. Now, the concept between standards, and having expectations are two different things. Because I feel a lot of us will say, I expect him to be this, or I expect him, or I expect her to do this, or I expect him to do this. But then you have standards, things that you will not sell yourself on. Why are we so focused on expectations and less on our standards? Because a lot of us, maybe you've seen yourself amongst people in your own community. Some sister will say to you, oh, like my standard is he prays 5 times a day, but then she'll go for a brother who doesn't pray 5 times a day, but because he's 6 feet tall. So how do we
Yeah.
go about that? And why are we like changing our standard but not our expectations?
Yeah. So this is also, it dives even deeper to the whole ego value thing. If you are someone who really cares about what people think of you and really cares about how people perceive you, you will make decisions based off of, you will prioritize making decisions based off of how people will perceive you. I want to be that couple where people look at us and they're like, wow, I want to be that power couple that everyone like looks up to. Oh,
Yeah.
I think, they're not going to see the whole 5 prayer a day thing. No one's going to see that. But the 6 foot thing, they're going to see that. They're going to be like, wow, she married a 6 foot man. It's like, okay, like, that she's going to make decisions based off of that. However, if this is why the work is to really check in with yourself. Why are you choosing this? Why are you choosing this? Because if you make decisions like, oh, he's 6 foot, then you catch feelings and you're going to end up being married, it's too late by that time. You've already, imagined your whole wedding with kids and your whole grandkids. You've imagined all of that. So it's too late to kind of cut that off. You have to do it beforehand. Okay, why do I want this? What is it? If his 6 foot somehow disappeared and he became disabled and all of this kind of like, all of that changed, would I still want to be with him? What's left? What's left? Let's strip away all the things that you like about him and on his job, his money, his that. What's left? Okay, if you were stranded on an island with him and it's just you two, what matters? What matters? And same thing with the guy, right? Saying him. With the guy, if you're just with the girl and it's just you two on the island and no one cares about what your girl looks like. No one cares about this. Like literally no one's giving you any brownie points for what you got. What are you focusing on? I want a girl that, takes, whatever. She's very respectful. She gives me the space to be myself. She does this, she hypes me up, whatever. Right? She supports me. That's what matters. So to answer your question, it's just more of about an awareness of like, why am I choosing what I'm choosing? And you have to make decisions based off of like, if this thing that I'm choosing it on goes away, will I still be okay? If you're not okay with it, then you gotta kind of reevaluate.
Do you feel like we value standards less now? Because I feel like it's always, again, I had this conversation with my friends the other day, and it got pretty heated. Because they were saying, oh, I expect my wife to cook. And I remember they were asking me, I'm like, no, I don't care if she cooks or she, I mean, she's not a slave. I'm like, she cooks. And I told them, by the way, if your wife cooks for you, it's out of love, not because she's told she has to cook. So I'm like, there's a difference. I told them, Islamically, I hope you know that her rights is not to cook for you. It's a companionship, bro. And I feel like we have valued standards less. Like we've always talked about expectations, even amongst just like secular things. We always look at the expectation. Why expect to be promoted? Well, are you putting in the work, or are you just making this image? And to go back to your ego and value, like now I kind of see it because I feel the expectation kind of like more relates with the ego side, and then you have the standards which like are all value, like then and they all have factual reasons. And I feel like yes, every guy, every girl would love a 6 foot man, but again, there's not a lot of 6 foot people out there.
Yeah,
And
but that's not true, by the way. Not everyone like wants a 6 foot man. But go ahead.
I guess that's very true. I take it back. Some girls want a 6 foot man, and then some guys have whatever expectations they want. But I feel like it generally leads us to failure. And I feel like we're always focusing on, because to your point, we're trying to make. I feel like for a lot of us, we're just trying to make other people happy. Well, I just need them, and it's like that conversation, like, oh, are you buying the BMW for yourself, or are you buying it because you want people to say, wow, mashallah, he has a BMW? A lot of the times, you want that validation because you never got it from no one else. Or for example, and then I always tell the same example. I'm like, if that's true, then why do you want someone else complimenting your wife, like, or your husband? Like that should be for you. That shouldn't be like, it's not a project. You're here out there saying, oh, look at the 6'7" person that I found.
Right. Look at the prize I got. Yeah.
Exactly. So I feel like we value standards so much. And I feel a lot of it has to do with social media, which we spoke about earlier. And I feel like social media has played a huge part. And I know growing up, like, of course, like we were in high school, social media wasn't as prevalent. So everything you were doing is kind of like face to face. And now you feel people, and maybe you've seen it as well as a relationship coach, but social media has also like almost deteriorated our confidence. It's harder now to go to a girl and say, hey, I like you. Now it's like sliding into the DMs. And I want to hear your point about that. So how much has social media deteriorated even men's confidence and also women's confidence?
Oh man, that's so much. Social media is going to be the death of all of us because there's so many people, especially non-Muslims, who put out dating advice that first of all has nothing to do with our values as Muslims. We value long-term commitment. We value growth. We value things that are very different than what a non-Muslim values. And so I
Mm-hmm.
hear things like I'll never forget this. There was a video that showed up on my timeline or my whatever explore page that said, "Girl, if he doesn't open the car door for you, you better leave him." And I was just like, "What? Like what are we doing? What kind of
Yeah.
expectation is that putting in someone's mind who's not very experienced with relationships?" And I hope that the people take that as a joke, but it's like that like what that person said, but it's like that's a non-Muslim saying these things. And obviously, someone who has never had experience is going to take that. Their subconscious mind is going to interpret that as like, oh, if it's not this, then that means he doesn't care for me. That means he doesn't respect me. Therefore, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
leave. That's going to set an unrealistic expectation of what relationships is because it's not what it is. And so
Yeah.
the danger of it, especially people who are not experienced with relationship, with marriage, if they're just getting their advice off of TikTok and Instagram, that's a disaster. It really is. Like unless you follow someone who's like been through like actually understands, and they show you the trenches of marriage and show you the ugly side of marriage, the good and ugly side. Learn from that, not just like
Mm-hmm.
if he doesn't do this, then he's not that. If she doesn't do this, it's just so like it's so black and white. And relationships is such a big like it's much more complicated than just like if he's not this right. So yes, expectations is really that's not it's just so bad. Yeah.
Even for men, like you see, for example, not sure if you've seen like Fresh and Fit podcast, the guy that go and sit, like they have like a bunch of like certain like women who are a
Mm.
little bit whatever the point is. Anyways, like they always say, oh, like you gotta cook for your man, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. And man, I'm like, your points regarding women isn't coming from Islamic standpoint because you see a lot of even Muslim men believing in, oh, the woman has to cook for me, the woman has to clean for me, the woman has to do this for me. I'm like, okay, so let's say, for example, that was true. Now, what are you doing? Because a lot of guys still have this perspective, oh, it's a 50-50 relationship. I'm like, Allah said you're the provider. So whether your wife
Yeah, yeah.
works or doesn't work, you're the provider. You need to provide 400, take care of.
Yes.
Then they're like,
Yeah.
then they'll be like, no, 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 it's a tough economy. So I'm like, it's a tough economy now, but not at home. And I feel like even a lot of these some Muslim youth who give dawah, I'm like, you guys, before you give dawah, you got to be careful with what you say, because a lot of people are impressionable. If your wife is okay with, yeah, this whole expectation thing, then that's your wife. But there's some other women who are single, who are not okay with that, and then this guy has this mindset that my wife has to cook for me. And then next thing you know, you're causing a problem because you're not asking these like right questions. And I feel like social media again, like a lot of these brothers are like, it's almost like it's a competition. I can get this many girls, or I can get this person to agree with my standpoint. And now when you see in the real world, people are not having real life conversations growing up. Now they're so scared. They're like, well, what if I say the wrong thing? Because on text, you can take your time with a pickup line or like commenting on her post or commenting on his post, whatever it might be. But in person, the way we approach the opposite gender, like at the gym, a lot of people don't like being approached at the gym. Me personally, if you're coming to say hi, cool, but after that, I want to go back to my workout because I feel like if I'm the type of person, I can lose my pump immediately. And then, again, and I feel like girls probably get it worse at the gym because they're there to work out, and guys are going to go approach. And then you have on social media where they get the same approach. So I feel like some people are either way too confident with their approach or they have no confidence at all. And
Yeah.
they're all based off their social media antics. And I believe that, yes, social media has some good to it, but also I believe that it's manipulating a lot of younger people. And I can only fear for the people who are younger than, like way younger than me, because I feel like they're not going to have this like true intimate conversation. It'll be them at home on their phones saying, hi, how are you, versus like actually talking to each other.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And one thing I want to add in terms of like the dynamics of the marriage that you want, okay? So if you want a more traditional marriage type where the woman's the one cooking and cleaning and you're the one providing and doing your thing, you have to pick the whole package that comes with it, which means typically if you're looking for a more traditional marriage, the partnership emotional connection is not as could be, right? You're not prioritizing that as much versus like, okay, I just want a woman who cooks and cleans. If that's your priority, then that's what you're going to get. However, if you're more focusing on I prioritize connection, emotional connection over like, cooking and cleaning, that's like a benefit. If she does it, alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
you make a decision based off of that. But if your only priority is like, I don't really care for emotional connection, I just want her to cook, then that's what you'll get. You'll get that kind of marriage, that kind of dynamic. So you kind of want to be careful about what you pick and choose. You can't have like, I want a fully connected emotional marriage where she loves me in this and I only want her to cook. Like you got to pick and choose what you want. And so especially like for example, women who say I want a man that fully provides and I just stay at home and do that. Okay, you'll get that. Inshallah, you'll get that. And there's benefits and pros, there comes with that. However, there's the other thing where I want more of a partnership where, he's the one that provides Islamically, he takes care of the basics and stuff, and I contribute where I can in terms of like helping him out. That's also a dynamic too. So there's no wrong dynamic, there's no wrong way of seeing things. It's just more about what you prioritize and what matters to you, which is why I keep going back to like what's your vision in life? How do you want to live your life? And you go based off of that. And so if you want a woman that just cooks and cleans and that's the only role for her, I doubt you're going to find that here in America. But if you do find that, good for you. But you got to pick and choose
But I agree with you as well because like Muslim women, like besides your ethnicity, if you're born in America or Canada or even like Europe, and you're raised like here, born and raised, the mindset is different. I always tell like my friends, I'm like, it's like when we have these conversations, my point is always this. I'm like, we don't live back home. You can't base your mentality as back home. Like, I'm
Right.
Palestinian. You don't see me basing my mentality as like down like, because Palestinian or Arab women here are way different, especially if they're born and raised here. They don't want a guy who has a mindset back home. Yes, you can still be happy from where you come from, but you need to have this like open, different mindset. And I feel like to your earlier point, if you just want a wife to cook for you, there's a lot of women who'll just cook for you. But in my opinion, it's gonna be a boring relationship. Because I've always said that. I've always famously said, if you ask anybody who I personally know, they'll say this about me. I want my person to be my best friend. I've never called anybody my best friend. Like even Muhammad, he's like, this guy's my brother, and I love him, but my best friend's my wife. And I feel like a lot of guys, no, they look at it as a wife, but I want my wife to be my best friend. Like we're able to go out, we're able to go travel, we're able to go have fun. I feel like a lot of people don't see their significant other as a friend. They just look at it as a husband and wife, which maybe could deteriorate the relationship because you also want your person to be your friend. Where you're able to go out, you're able to spend time together. Not only, like, even like for example, I've had conversations like, bro, even if we only eat hummus and food, I'm fine with that. Because I'm like, I'm with my person. Like a lot of people say, oh, at first, one of my old coworkers is famously for saying, oh, on the first date, I have to go to like $100 restaurant. I'm like, $100 restaurant? I'm like, how about you just go to like a coffee shop, get your bubble tea, and get to know the person? Because I'm like, if I have to go to a dinner, in my opinion at least, and I'm not trying to be cheap, I'll get my wife the world. But I'm saying if I'm gonna go to a dinner in the beginning, I feel like it's a controlled conversation, similarly to a theater. Or I feel like it should be like more casual, getting to know each other's vibes before you go somewhere more intimate and like where you're both dressed up, in my opinion at least.
Yeah. 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 Alhamdulillah. Yeah. Yeah. Y'all hear that, ladies? He's single. He's ready.
That's funny. I
Alhamdulillah.
appreciate the shout out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just think
That's
also
funny.
a lot of women feel like there's not enough men that think the way that you're saying. Like I just want a girl who I can be friends with, who can be my person, and I don't expect her to do. I just want to be friends with her, and that's a beautiful perspective, I think. And it's
I think it's so tough, and I could tell you off camera, but yeah, I feel like some girls don't appreciate it though, to be quite honest with you. And from what I've seen, so like certain girls in Canada don't appreciate it, but so obviously some girls do. I'm not trying to like generalize all women or all like people out there,
yeah.
but I do believe, yeah, my mindset is different. And I've been told my mindset has been different amongst like girls
The
who have.
ones who are not your woman, they won't appreciate it, and that's good. You don't want
That's very
a
true.
girl who's not yours to not appreciate it. So
That is
that
very
means they're
true.
not your wife. So
I,
alhamdulillah.
this is why we want you to come back even more. When I tell you, you've been like highly. I think we interviewed you last like this year, but like earlier in the year. Since your episode has been dropped, the amount of text messages I've been receiving for you to come back, I'm gonna get more,
Appreciate.
inshallah, after this
Yeah,
drop. I feel like we want more in depth. And
inshallah.
inshallah. But before I know like we're an hour and 20 minutes, almost an hour and 20 minutes in. If you want to like shout out, guys, I want to thank you for if you're listening this far. I appreciate you. Lama, if you want to like tell everybody where they can follow you.
Yeah. Follow me on Instagram. You can get all the information. I post a lot of stuff on YouTube as well. So YouTube, I post almost like twice a week about all the things, all the topics, all the problems, and so I try to cover everything, and to really help you get into the mindset you need to find your person.
To
So
get up to
I think,
100,000 subscribers, inshallah. We're trying to see you grow.
inshallah, inshallah,
Inshallah.
whatever, whoever comes, alhamdulillah, you're all welcome.
Inshallah. I'm gonna stop the podcast now. Just let it upload.